Hello, my name is Jonathan Miller, and this is my social studies project on philosophy, or my philosophy of social studies. And we'll be talking about a grade 4 classroom and an overview of this. Now, the grade 4 social studies focuses on developing students' understanding of how we study the past, including social organization, daily life, and the relationship with the environment in different societies between 3000 BCE and 1500 BCE, and comparing these aspects with present-day Canada. Now, students will study political regions, including provinces and territories, physical regions, including landforms, vegetation, and climatic regions. Students will also continue to develop their mapping skills, analyzing print, digital, and interactive maps, and using spatial technologies to investigate human interactions with the environment. Now, expectations for grade 4 social studies include beliefs and values, community, culture, power, relationships, stewardship, and the importance of balance between these concepts. Now, the overall goal is also to connect all these pieces from having a vision, goals, and a citizenship framework. We want to apply the concepts of disciplinary thinking, the inquiry process, and spatial skills towards the ideas and framing questions using overall and specific expectations to produce responsible, active citizens from the classroom. Now, the three pieces that we'll be looking at for the project here is the social studies specific inquiry skills I will be emphasizing in my classroom, how I plan to physically set up my classroom for social studies, and how I expect to integrate social studies and other subject areas. Now, the first being the inquiry process. You'll find out that when I speak to these things, they're all going to bleed into each other a bit. So the inquiry process has 5 pieces to it, which is formulating questions, gathering and organizing information, evidence, and data, as well as interpreting and analyzing information, evidence, and data. The fourth is evaluating information, evidence, and drawing conclusions from that information. And the last would be communicating those findings. Now, you don't need to use all 5 in that order or use all 5 in general, but those are the options you have for you to be able to do it. Now, the first inquiry piece that I will be talking about in terms of how I could be using something like this in the classroom is this little guy here, where most people probably have no idea what this is. Now, first off, I'd ask the class, does anybody have an idea of what this is? And they'd probably most likely not be able to tell you. Now, I could give the information piece that this is an ugly stick. And from there, because it's kind of an interesting name and it's got an interesting look to it, I'd ask the kids what they want to know about it. Who uses it? Why do they use it? Where is it found? And so on and so forth. So what I can tell you about this, the ugly stick, is it's actually a musical instrument from Newfoundland, which is a part of Canada. So since we're doing social studies and we focus on a lot of the Canadian aspect regions, this is a good piece to use. So as they find out or ask the questions and find out the answers, they could tell you a bit more about this, and then they present that to the class. Obviously, we use other artifacts as well, but that is one that we could use. Other things we can speak about is how I might set up the class. As an example, you can see behind me this massive giant map, which is an excellent way for students to get into social studies, be able to see a large map in the areas and regions of the world. Often we find small maps in classes and it becomes difficult to find different cities or different countries or regions or capitals and so on and so forth, but this is an excellent example of how we could have a giant map in a classroom. One other thing, we always talk about classroom norms, all right? And one thing that I found, courtesy of Pinterest, is our classroom Bill of Rights. Now this on here says, as an example, Article 1, all classroom citizens have the right to learn. Article 2, all classroom citizens have the right to read, and so on and so forth. And you can apply this to social studies however you want to do it in the form of Bill of Rights, which has to do with citizenship, which we do learn in social studies in grade 4 and beyond. Other examples, again, coming back to the map. Although this piece here has just a map of the United States, we also have clocks up here, right? So it's analog clocks, which show different time zones. And the way we can use this even cross-curricularly has to do with, you can do it in math where you can do word problems. If it's 5 o'clock in Toronto and it's 3 o'clock in 3 o'clock in Calgary, what would the time difference be? And so they'd obviously give you 2 o'clock. And you can cross-reference that in many different ways. Other things that you can do to set up your classroom. This is stuff that I've brought from home because I'm a big globe freak. So I have mini globes, I have big globes, but it's another way for students, if you do have a smaller map in the classroom, they can use these types of globes to have a look around. One thing that you can do cross-curricularly as well in science and social studies is you can always talk about historical value of of finding scientific inventions, or things like the canoe, as an example, and how it has grown throughout the times. And because when we talk about the beaver pelts and the beaver or the trade and the rest of that, we start moving on to larger vessels to be able to transport those pieces. That is my little inquiry project, or my philosophy project on inquiry, how I'd set up the classroom, and how we can use cross-curricular or social studies and integrate it with other subjects. My name is Jonathan Miller. Thank you very much.